It's been years since you first decided you wanted to lose weight, but nothing has worked for you. Failed attempt after failed attempt, accomplishing nothing except a great deal of frustration and the same flabby, unfit body you started with. Introducing the FlexCore 8 Body Sculpting Fat Burning System, which combines the most effective core toning, total body firming exercises plus calorie blasting cardio. With the 21-day burn fast meal plan, making FlexCore 8 the most powerful fat blasting muscle toning midsection shaping system ever created.
Action. Mr. Bettis, can you come in here and sit down, please? I just got a call that you're apparently doing some kind of workout routine in class. Can you want to tell me what you were doing in there?
FlexCore, baby. FlexCore.
Okay, nice. I'm glad that you didn't get the memo, but it's called Core Flex, and it's not a workout plan.
Okay.
Do you need me to explain it to you?
Yes, please.
Okay, so Core Flex, now you've probably seen kids have been meeting in their third grade classes, but starting kind of toward the end of next week and the week after that, we're going to have kids going to either core or flex areas for 4 days a week, 30 minutes a day, to get some targeted help or a variety of different things. Okay, so for example, a kid who needs to study for a test, but is doing really well academically, we're going to provide them time to go get help from a teacher. You see how that's a little bit different than like doing jumping jacks?
Alright, pick it up.
Okay, so other example would be a kid who maybe struggled, you know. There are kids out there that maybe struggle academically. We're going to be able to provide those kids with a chance to get targeted help from a teacher. That's going to be the equivalent of core. So a kid who struggled academically and we're trying to make sure they get off on the right foot here at Columbia so they're not getting failing grades, they're going to be going to core. Now the far other side of it would be a kid who's going to go to flex. And we're not talking push-ups. We're talking they're going to have a choice to be able to go to a place around the building to study, to get help from teachers, to play basketball, to run a makeup mile, or whatever they need to do. Now, that's quite different than doing jumping jacks.
Alright, so kids with maybe didn't understand the concepts. I get that, that's core.
Yeah.
And then we got flex, where we got the students that are like working on studying the tests in the commons, and then like they're maybe running a mile, playing basketball, that sort of thing. What about those kids in the middle?
Well, kids that, okay, so core is going to be specifically for kids who had some troubles with their academics, okay? But it's not because they're not trying hard. We're going to work at getting them the help they need. The kids that fall into kind of that in-between, that's why it's going to be called Flex Help. They're going to be able to go out and seek help. They might work with friends in the commons, studying for a test. They might go to a specific teacher and get some help as they have a test coming up, or work on a project, or write a paper. Or if they're doing really well academically, they kind of fall into the flex side of things, they might go play basketball. But they're going to have the choice based on how they're doing academically.
Makes sense. So, what about when there's a kid that's not taking it serious, is kind of dilly-dallying around, being off task, getting in trouble?
Well, it's not going to be any different than we already have for school. We take it seriously. When you're in class time, you're in class time. Core Flex is essentially class time. Whether you're in core or you're in flex, it's an added resource. Kids need to take advantage of that time. So we're going to handle discipline just like we handle discipline normally.
Perfect. That sure makes a lot more sense than a workout section. What about, how are they assigned? How do we figure that out? Like, how do we decide who goes to core and who goes to flex?
Well, we kind of mentioned it earlier, but the whole point of it is if a kid didn't do well this last year, so we're actually talking from second semester this last school year, whether they are at Surprise Lake or Columbia, you're going to be able to, we're going to take their grades and we're going to place them in core if they had some struggles academically. And the kids who didn't have those struggles, they're going to be assigned a flex time and have some choice as to where they're going to land. And we're going to kind of explain all of that throughout this next week or two.
Alright, that makes sense to me now. Okay, but I'm still kind of, like, those really good kids, they're really nailing it academically, they're really there, so why do they get free time? What do they need that for?
Well, because a lot of kids can use that time. A lot of kids are doing well academically because they do use that time. You're going to have the freedom, so say you've got a bunch of classes, and in the evenings you have a bunch of sports, and you have a project coming up, you're going to be able to maybe use that time to be able to get that work done. Now that doesn't mean that you're not supposed to do your work in class. It means that if you needed to, during that one day, study for a test, you can do that. If it means that one day you didn't have a test coming up, you can go play basketball. Or if that day you felt like you wanted to go read in the library, totally fine as well, but you'll have those choices as long as you're using that time wisely.
God, this is genius. I can't even believe it. You know, I love that at Columbia Junior High School, that our teachers, that our staff is willing to do whatever it takes to help these kids succeed. I'm telling you, I'm so excited about this.
Yeah, do you think staff or students have questions if you're out there doing workouts with classes, which please don't do anymore, do you think anybody still has questions as to what we're going to be doing this year?
You know what? We need to go ask some folks.
So James, I heard you had questions about Corflex.
For the core and flex part, if you didn't have like F's last year, can you still go to the flex if you want to?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what it's designed for. So, like, if you had straight C's or something, okay, you might occasionally want to get some help from a teacher, right? Because you're not necessarily getting a straight A. But if you have a test coming up, go study for a test. If you did a bunch of homework the night before, but you're still getting good grades and you feel prepared, maybe you go work out in the gym. Maybe you go read in the library. A lot of options.
Okay, I asked if like for the core flex, if you get to choose like flex because like we have good grades, but you have a test, like would you guys choose us having like to study, or would we be in the gym?
You know what?
Or do we choose?
That's exactly the reason behind this. When you think about it, we're not going to force people to be in the gym. We're not going to force people to be in the commons. Okay, we're going to ask students to make good choices based on what they need. You got a test coming up tomorrow or whatever. That might be a time where you grab some friends, you come to the commons, who are also during flex time, and you study for that test using flashcards or your books or your notes or whatever. Okay. Now, obviously, if you don't have a test going on, you could find yourself in the gym with that same group of friends, hanging out if there's space, right? Or you could find yourself in the library reading a book. Just depends on kind of what choice you're going to make, and it can be different each day.
So we have to make a good decision for ourselves, like what we think is best for us.
Yeah, I mean, occasionally we're going to steer some students who, you know, if you've got a D in a class and you're like, oh man, I really want to play basketball today, we might steer you toward getting help because, you know, we're not cool with kids having D's and F's, and we want to see everyone be successful here. So we might go, hey, by the way, you might want to go to that. And you're also going to have your teachers telling you, you know, hey, you got a test coming up and you've got a D, I need you to bring that grade up. So they might say, go get some flex help time from the teacher next door.
And for successful students to have some free time.
That could be, but could you also do work like you're doing right now?
Yes.
So you're not necessarily a struggling student, right? Could you use more time in your day to make sure you're getting work done well?
Yeah.
Study for tests? Go get help from teachers? Or do something that lets you just kind of take a break?
Right.
But if you're doing well. Cool. What about you?
Corflex is, I think, like him for like struggling students so they can get help, or for other students they can have free time and do work for school and practice for tests.
Okay, so if I'm a struggling student, does that mean Corflex is like a penalty for me?
It's just to help you and make you understand the subject more.
It could, and it could help you bring your grades up, right? So, I mean, no one's going to be totally fine with having an F, or at least I hope not.
Or bring board games during core flex?
Good question, weird question. We haven't decided yet. You know, there's going to be some areas where you get a little bit more freedom as to what you're going to be doing, whether it's the commons or the gym or the library, the computer lab. We're not quite sure.
Okay, are you also allowed to bring like your speakers and play music?
Speakers are going to be a no. Using your phone, having headphones in and kind of relaxing is going to be a yeah. Corflex. You guys heard the term Corflex yet this year?
Yeah.
What is Corflex?
It's learn about like
Isn't it like if you're down on grades?
it's to help you with your grades, like if you need help so your grades are higher.
All different answers so far and all correct answers so far.
Let's go.
So the answer is yeah. So far we've been doing some advisory stuff with Cougar Pride. The answer of struggling grades or bringing your grades up? Absolutely. We're going to be rolling.
Like, respect and
Yeah, what Cougar Pride is like, how to actually act that way. That's how we're going to start the year, but there's going to be a point here in the next week or two where we actually kind of break out into how you've done academically and what kind of choices that provides you. So if you're doing pretty well academically, you might find yourself in the commons during that time working or studying. You ever end up with too much going on in the evenings? Yeah. Where you're having a hard time getting all your work done? Yeah. Or you have a test coming up and you want to study? Or you got to do a project? Okay, we're going to be able to do stuff like that. Or if you're doing really well and you don't have any issues going on right now, like studying or whatever, you might find yourself in the gym, playing volleyball, hanging out. Okay, it's not going to be squandered time. It's going to be time that's useful for you. But if you're doing well academically, you're actually going to have kind of choices that are going to be based on what you need at the time. That's the whole point of this, is to give you choices to meet your own needs.
So what are you guys going to do when it comes to Coreflex time?
Be in the gym.
You might. Some people will, right? But there might be times where you're going to go study. Okay? Y'all getting straight A's? All of you?
Yeah.
Okay? You are? Mm-hmm. Good. Do you ever study for tests? Mm-hmm. Okay. Would it be nice? Okay. And today, during Coreflex time, though we learned about academic success, you could have maybe been studying for that test. What class is it going to be in?
Mundo.
Mrs. Munoz?
Yeah.
Okay. And ELA? Yeah. You have papers due in there ever?
Yeah.
Okay. You imagine during a Coreflex time where your paper's not quite the way you want it to be, you could go get help from her.
Now you're doing advisory activities, but did you know it's going to change from that feeling to something different here pretty quick?
Yeah, I heard about it. They say they're gonna have like some kids in class and some others like just chilling. You know?
Yeah, but we could fill in the blanks as to what just chilling means, right? So if you got, say for example, a bad grade last spring, okay, you might need some help in math or language arts or some other class, right? But if you got okay grades, what's to stop you from either chilling or studying for a test, or going and getting help from a teacher? You see how all those things can kind of fall into the category of your choice?
All right.
So whose deal is it going to be to make those good choices, though?
Us.
Yeah, right. And we're going to continue to kind of build it so that it's meaningful time for you, but you have to be in it with us to make that time meaningful.
All right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You're the man. Thanks.